Good morning. I have been thinking about doing a video series about my yard and garden and food and all of the things I'm exploring in life. And what I'm writing about is culture and transformation, the lessons more or less that I've learned through gardening and getting in touch with earth and food and who we are as humans in 2019. It's a beautiful sunny day in the end of February, and I thought this was a great day to start this little project. So we'll see how it goes. But what I really want to focus on is the why. There's a lot of garden how-to videos, which are great. I will show what I'm doing in the garden and maybe talk about what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. What I'm going for here is the why I'm doing it, why I dream about more people doing it. There's a lot we can do in our cities. Not everyone has a yard, but a lot of people do have yards. Part of what I want to show here is how accessible our yards are for food production, for health, for clarity, for lessons. I want to demystify the process of gardening, but also I want to demystify the process of learning on our own through experience. We have developed this desire to be taught everything by other people, and that's fine sometimes. But doing things and learning things the way you learn them is often much better. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the garden. We're going to talk about trees and plants and landscaping and foodscaping and food forests. We're going to talk about hot sauce. We're going to talk about fermentation. We're going to talk about bread. And we'll see where it goes. So let's have a look at what we're working with this season. So let's check out the garden. This is the current garden under cultivation for about 3 years now. The soil's getting really good here. You can see some onions here. It's a bunch of mess, a bunch of compost. We've kind of been dumping our compost in the middle of the garden all winter, because this guy is full. As you can see, I think this might be the year that I build a proper compost bin somewhere, because we make enough compost between cooking and garden scraps. Down here you can see some life. The first life of every season is garlic sprouting up. These guys are about 2 inches tall, and they go kind of around here. These stalks here are dead okra plants from last year. One of the first things I need to do is clean up the garden, because you can't do much when there's compost laying everywhere, and dead tomatoes here. I built this tomato trellis last year and it worked really well. You kind of walk under it and harvest and whatnot, but those vines need to go. So I think the first plan of action is to double the size of the garden from this, which is about 20 by 20, to that. We're going to turn and till that soil, add some compost, and soon it'll look a lot like this.
Day, I've got nothing more to say. At a clearing in my mind. All of us are feeding, all of us are needing a
Hello again. It's a relatively warm day in the 40s, and so I'm going to take today and do the cleanup that I talked about. Get the tomato vines down off the trellis, and then prune some of the perennial stuff that needs to be deadheaded and whatnot before it starts sprouting again. So here we go. As I said, this tomato trellis was super helpful and productive last year, but the dead one's gotta go, and it's about time. So I'm just gonna get over there and cut them down. The only thing that I have to be mindful of are these little Velcro tabs that held on the vines last year, because I'd like to reuse them. I'm starting to get the vines off of the trellis. Once I had the Velcro clips off, these pretty much come off. So what I'm doing down here is simply pruning the root structure. I already did this one, and that leaves the roots in the soil to decompose and add to the soil. So I'll keep doing that. I've got half of it untangled. Sage looks to be alive. It survived the winter. It doesn't always do that. I buried it under a bunch of mulch here pretty thickly to help it survive. Hopefully I'm not prematurely unburying it. But all these are still good, so they should come right back. And these are garlic chives. You can see them sprouting here at the bottom. So we need to move these dead sprouts off so the new ones can get some light. Lavender, same deal. We're just gonna kind of get down to the wood. So you don't want to go too far, because it sprouts off of that. see the greenwood down there? Trash. Always trash. Sometimes I have collected this and dried it. Well, it's already dry, but use it for smudge sticks or tea. But I still have a bunch of that from last time I did this, so this is just all gonna get composted right in place, I think. Faster. It's a little less accurate, but for this, it doesn't really matter. Trash. The only problem with doing it with those is you still kind of have to come back and finish it with the pruners. So rather than sweeping up the discard, I am composting in place on the garlic beds, which should give a nice bed of fresh compost for those garlic plants, which are still sticking up out of it. It's warmed up considerably. The sun came out. Nearly finished with the cleanup. I've put most of the debris back onto the garden bed to compost in place, kind of a sheet mulching technique to build soil and close the nutrient cycle in the garden as much as possible, so nutrients come out of the soil into plant matter and go right back into it to be decomposed and feed the plants next year. Is the idea. And most of the stuff that I cut down is perennial vegetation, which their roots typically go deeper and get more nutrients. So hopefully what I'm doing is going to work out well. I haven't done it exactly this way before. Usually I will gather up compost into a separate pile and let it decompose before putting it back on the garden. But there's no reason this shouldn't work, because that's how a forest functions. So as you can see, quite a bit different. Anything tall has been cut. Those lavender bushes have been shaped up nicely, and the garlic has been mulched just in time for spring growth. Let's go to the front yard. Behind me, and you saw it earlier, is our still left up Halloween decorations. We took some sunflower stalks and made them into a giant sunflower scarecrow with okra fingers, aptly named okra fingers. And it's about to go into the compost. It served us well. The main body came from a 15-foot volunteer sunflower in the garden last year. So here we go. It's coming down. Bam. So that concludes garden cleanup, and this episode, this pilot episode for the Chouteau Farms YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. I had fun. We'll see where it goes from here. The next episode will probably be garden expansion, turning and tilling, and then planting. So it's going to get more interesting quickly. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.
Day. I've got nothing more to say. At the end of my line, there's a clearing in my mind. All of us are feeding, all of us are needing a time. Working for the county, clearing up a bounty. I feel fine. Someone near half the time. Here comes another 1,000 years. It's left my mind in all my tears about all those we left behind. And the words we'll never find. All of us are feeding